After we're done with Baldur's Gate 3, we're getting back to more Divinity games, and I think that is huge, huge, huge news. I got this from over at PC Gamer, where they have an article up talking about how the Divinity games put Larian in the map, and Swen Vincke said that the studio will return to them someday. And they have a pretty rich history that goes back. If you haven't played all their games, they go back like 20 years. I'm one of those people who hasn't played all their games. I played Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2. Those games were enough to sell me on anything the company publishes in the future. I might not ever get back to their earlier games just because I do a lot of different content creation. I'm mostly focused on new games these days as opposed to retro. But they did quite a few games before they did the Kickstarter before Divinity Original Sin. And in a lot of ways, these guys are kind of like, in a way, like Obsidian Entertainment, in the sense that they have built their own IP up over the years, just like Obsidian has done with the Aurora world with the Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2. So Larian has been doing the same thing with the Divinity universe, and obviously I don't think it would have mattered whether it was Obsidian or In Exile or Larian. If any of these RPG studios would have gotten their hands on Baldur's Gate 3, I think that's like getting handed the keys to the kingdom, so to speak, in terms of what it's going to do for your company. And Larian Studios has not wasted any time in going from this little small 20-man team to a 120-man team to a 400-man team, and then getting ready for whatever that next challenge will be. And the best part about the success that's going to come about as a result, and already has come about as a result of Baldur's Gate 3, is that it means that the next Divinity game is going to be even bigger and better than Divinity Original Sin 1 and Divinity Original Sin 2, which were massive games in their own rights. So I guess this is from an IGN article. It says here, I'm reading it on PC Gamer. It says, our universe we built, so we're definitely going to get bigger at some point. We're first going to finish Baldur's Gate 3, then take a break because we need to refresh ourselves creatively. At this point, you're seeing 400 developers putting their hearts and souls into this project. You're getting the best of them and their craft into this game. Now, the writer of this article, one Andy Chalk, does go on to talk about how after first picking up when he was, it says here, after the conclusion of the Baldur's Gate saga, I picked up Divine Divinity in 2002, which was one of their first games. And he's basically played in between them, and talks a little bit about the games and how they were kind of up and down until the point where they released Divinity Original Sin with a Kickstarter campaign in 2013. It's been 10 years ago now, which is not that long ago in the scopes of game development and what it takes to put together a AAA games these days. With I think some studios can get something to the finish line in 5 or 6 years, but like Cyberpunk 2077 took, I believe it was 9+ years from the time they dropped the first teaser trailer up until the time that the game came out. And obviously, it had a very bugged, release. I still had great fun with Cyberpunk 2077, but it was a buggy release when it came out. But the point I'm making here is that with what they've got going on here, um, they have the love of the masses and they have the potential to make things bigger and better with all the publicity they're going to be getting from this. Now, if you've never played the first two games, I would say that you've got no time right now because Baldur's Gate 3 is just coming out. The Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 are great games. The only thing I didn't like about both of those games, and I briefly touched on this the other day, and it's the reason why Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 are not on my list of favorite RPGs of all time, even though they are amazing games. I have nothing really to criticize them for other than one thing, which kind of it makes me not want to replay them. And one of those reasons is because of the way they do the camera stuff is not my favorite. I like it, and you can remap it, but it's a little wonky. And I'm not really a fan of turn-based. I prefer pause-based. And also, six-man parties for me is the big thing. Is six-man parties. Um, and I realize that that's a personal preference because I loved Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. They are great games. But only having, like three other people with you, and it just felt very limiting in terms of the size of the party. But still amazing storytelling and voice acting and writing and incredibly deep mechanics and lore. That's the most important thing, is that they built their own lore with Divinity Original Sin and that whole world of Divinity. So I think for me, this is why I say Larian has now firmly earned a place. They were already up on my list with the first two games that I had played from them, and then the release of Baldur's Gate 3 has firmly cemented them in my mind and in my lists of my favorite RPG companies, up there with like NXile and Obsidian, BioWare, CD Projekt Red, as companies whose products I will probably always play whenever they come out with something new. Um, I'm even Rockstar's in that camp too, like because I loved Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 and Red Dead Online. Red Dead 2 Online was amazing. I'm just now ironically getting into Grand Theft Auto, and it's fun. So that's another company I'll play something by them no matter what. Anyway, I'm digressing here, everybody. I'm all over the map now that we're getting into the heart of this video and beyond. The the good thing here is that however Baldur's Gate 3 is released, um, and it looks like it's already been doing very, very good numbers. And I know it's not, I realize it's not an ideal scenario to not have a global same day launch across all platforms. It would be great if they had the engineering prowess to do it like Blizzard did with Diablo 4 and just be like floodgates open. It's for everyone everywhere at the same time. That's also an engineering and budget restraint. And obviously, Larian has a bit of a brick wall in that department. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. I would love to play it on my Xbox Series X as opposed to my laptop because I do have an older laptop these days, but it still runs really good. But I prefer most things these days be on the Xbox, and so I am a little saddened that they weren't able to get the Xbox version ready at the same time as the PlayStation version. But I obviously have it on the PC, so I'm gonna play the shit out of it no matter what. Um, but that's going to be the area I think where over time it's probably better for them in the long run in the sense that they'll get trickle sales for a long time as they add console stuff to the mix. And each time they do it, I think they're going to get a new wave of sales off of those consoles as well because you got all the goodwill built up of people watching the PC gamers stream it and play it and hype it up and do all the class guides and everything else. And then boom, it's out for the PlayStation. You're going to see a wave of people buying it for the PlayStation. And if it hopefully ever comes to the Xbox, there'll be another wave of people. So I think this definitely has in terms of what it's going to do for Larian's future with the Divinity series, I think this is going to do nothing but good things for them. And I love the fact that he says we're going to get this done. Then we're taking a creative break for a little bit. They're going to take a well-deserved vacation, and then they're going to be back at it doing more Divinity projects. So that's good news as far as I'm concerned. But in the meantime, we're into Baldur's Gate 3 territory, and I can't wait to sink my teeth in. Launch is just around the corner. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Support if you can, super chats, memberships, and beyond. Join the Discord. Links are down below. I'll see you all next time.